of the guides helping me and our group today, because I know this is a really wonderful meeting, and I'm full of excitement, and I have a lot going on, which is great. And I'm a singer-songwriter. I write music, and I've been putting a lot of music out into the world for myself to inspire and uplift and augment. And
because it's really fun for me to do.
Yeah, I love
Primary
it.
reason.
Primary reason is absolutely, it's fun, and I love it. And I'm also...
You mean that?
Yeah.
Because you're a teacher and an uplifter, and sometimes teachers and uplifters get that point kind of screwed up. You feel like the world needs to be uplifted, and so you're looking for a way that you can uplift the world. And when you do that, you're aware that the world isn't uplifted. Then you introduce resistance, and then there's angst in your songs, and then your songs are full of overcoming stuff. When you let your vortex write your song, when your daydream leads your song, oh.
Yeah. And I'm also an eye doctor, and I'm also a Reiki master, so I do a lot of energy work. And I'm grateful that I have all these things that help me grow and become the person that I am and will become. And what I've noticed as of recently, which is popping up for me, which is the areas of loving myself and control. 11 years ago, I had the opportunity to be on one of your cruises, and you assisted me at a time when my mom and I were having a difficult situation, and there was a control issue that occurred where I stepped aside and didn't allow that sort of game to be played, and instead I allowed myself to love myself in a different way. And what came about that through the years is now we're best friends, and we love each other again, and it's an adult relationship, and I've manifested that, and I want to thank you for that assistance. And here we are 11 years later, and I'm wanting a relationship with a man that I recently met that leads to marriage and fun and family and all that good stuff. And because of the work that I do as an energy person, I know that my vibration is different. And when we met...
Different from
the other person, although we both manifested each other.
We're going to make a strong statement. You don't have to pay too much attention or be very concerned about whether your vibration is like or different from any other person with whom you are co-creating. Your attention only needs to be upon whether your vibration is a match with your vibration. When you line up with you, then everything else takes care of itself. But you've brought the most important thing forward here. This is such a good conversation because you are doing, or we're doing sort of what everybody is doing, and that is trying to align with the others. You're looking for harmonics in other people. And so what's interesting is that if you're looking for harmonics in a person who is in the moment, not in alignment with who they are, you might find harmony with them, which might lead you further from who you really are. Now, that's usually not what you do. Most of you look for somebody who's in a really good mood, who's tuned in, who's bright and frisky and feeling good most of the time, and then you sort of cling to them. You try to harmonize with them because, frankly, it does feel better when you're hanging around with somebody who's already tuned in. But all you do is you teach yourself how you're looking for love in all the wrong places, and they're teaching you that, and you're teaching them that, when what you're really wanting to do is to hook up with who you are and then have a relationship.
Yes.
Did you get the distinction? It's a big one.
So through your teachings and the teachings that I read, I realize that I look at the other person and say to them, I accept you for who you are and love you for who you are, and therefore I'm saying that to myself.
And that's just all really fine, and we're grateful that you do that. And we mean that in every sense of the messy word grateful.
Yeah.
But feel how muddy that is. We spent the entire hour talking about getting out ahead of it. And it's all right, because it's the reason of the timing of this. And so now here you are, and you want to look at reality and accept it. What?
Mm-hmm.
And adjust to it, cope. I love you so much, I'll cope with all of your deficiencies. The primary one being you're using me as your alignment point, and I'm using you as my alignment point, and we're both forgetting the big picture of mastering alignment and then co-creating together.
Yeah. That hits hard. That's right.
Well, it's a big topic and almost everyone does it. And let's acknowledge that it's the easiest thing to do because you're accustomed to observing that. And you can't stop doing that. We're not going to ask you to stop doing something that you can't stop doing. You're a teacher and a master, and we want you to put the emphasis where it really serves you and everyone you teach better. What we'd like to hear from you is, it's what it is and it's great and it's a good bouncing off place. And even since we've been together, I've put a lot of things into my vortex that I know I'm the better for having the experience that caused me to put them there. And now my primary emphasis is upon finding any way in the world that I can to feel good in a moment and to milk it and sustain it. I'm identifying what that vibration feels like. I'm isolating it, meaning I'm focused on it long enough that it gets some real momentum going, and then I'm moving forward from that point. And then as the dream begins coming, your dream of the relationship in the making is what will be dominant. We promise you, there's no messy having to cope with what is. No forgiveness, no understanding. That's for humans that don't know the mastery of the laws of the universe. That's not who you are, and that's not what you want to teach.
Right. So what's been popping up for me is, because you brought in your teaching earlier about the connections to the past, to the extensions of your soul before, I think could be a lineage thing that might be like unraveling the onion of as you're peeling the layers of your life to clear out so you can manifest everything.
Hear that. A lot of people are talking about that onion, and a lot of people are wanting to unravel that. But think about it from this fresh new insight that you got today. So yeah, you lived all of that and you're living all of this. But in all of that, you created something that is calling you. And if your singular goal in life is to find things that bliss you out, so that you are isolating that feeling of that alignment, so that you're out ahead of it, so that all of that has been about, that has come to, is now calling you. Can you feel the difference in the blissful life that you will live? People are so busy overcoming their past that they just keep regurgitating it. It's why therapy never ends. You can't get to the bottom of anything. There is no bottom. There's no bottom. When you get focused on that stuff, you'll reach into other people's lives and think it's your own. So now, come back with us again. Start just as you did, and let's take it the powerful way.
Okay. So...
It's all right. It's an adjustment, but it's all right. I have a sensing that we've been together before. I can feel the soulmate-ness quality of our relationship. And I know that both of us have had lots of adventures and lots of experiences in life, and that we have individually and collectively built an awesome vibrational reality that I want us to together tap into. I want it to be a collective thing where I tap in and he taps in, and together we allow ourselves to manifest what we each have been asking for even before this life experience. Every now and again you get in that place where you can feel the eternalness of your relationship, and it really makes you want to make it work. It feels like this is the real deal and you really want this to work. But there are so many paths that so many humans have chosen. It's like you get together, and the first thing you do that is the first thing you do that we think is the first thing that you should never do. Tell me about yourself. And you all woo-woo psychic dancing around in the ethers people, you even want to go into past lives. And we want you to know that you've spent 73 years painting this painting, so to speak. It is ready. It has been revealing itself to you. And that if you'll just lighten up and not make such a big deal of creation, and just be the happy people that you're born to be, and just find things that are lovely to experience, and just tilt yourself, just tip a little in the direction of the fresh, non-restricted, non-diluted, non-messed up, non-beliefs that are trampling on it, Daydream. Can you just feel the difference, the clarity in a dream of a new building and when you're there with the contractor who put the toilet in the wrong place? Can you feel the difference in dreaming your empire as compared to the hiring people who will not do what you say no matter how many times you tell them? Facing reality slows your creation down. So face reality to a minimum, but you didn't come to face reality, you came to create it. You came to create reality. So
I heard you.
We know.
And
we know you did. Everyone went there with us. And then when you sat down, you began reformatting yourself. You wanted to present yourself. This is a really good thing, a good demonstration, because everyone, as you present yourself in a moment in time, you have an impression of who you are. We want your daydream to be the reason that you have an impression of yourself. We want your daydream to impress you with who you are, rather than your past experiences or your current bank account. We want the impression of who you are to be what's there. The only way to do that is by letting yourself catch a glimpse and another glimpse. You see, here's a really good way to look at this. So we stand here, we're loud and sure, and Esther looks like a woman who knows what she's talking about. She's stubborn and determined, and there's never a contradiction in anything that ever comes out of her mouth. In other words, this is a stable thing that you're hearing here, but still, just looks like somebody with another very well-practiced presentation of what they believe in to some people, and you take it as a philosophy maybe, and you go away and apply some of it, and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it benefits you, and maybe it doesn't. But if you catch a vibrational glimpse of what we're talking about here, and you accept the wholeness of who you are, and you acknowledge that there's a vibrational part of you that has a point of attraction, and that you do too, and that your emotions are telling you how in sync those two parts are or not, how tuned in you are or not. And then you're doing those getting out ahead of it exercises like segment intending or meditating or daydreaming. When you meditate, you stop thought. When you stop thought, you stop resistance. When you stop resistance, your vibration rises. That's just a physics fact. And so as you allow yourself to do that, and you do it often enough that you know when you've got it, you can feel your detachment. You can feel the sublime feeling of lightness and freedom from resistance. You've been doing it for a week or a month or a year or longer, but you know you're there. And then just on the edge of meditation, maybe during it, but often right after, you get an impulse about something, just an impulse about an everyday kind of thing. Stop at 7-Eleven or buy a lottery ticket or go this way instead of that way or call someone. Just a light impulse, but it's an impulse that really feels good. The idea of it feels really good to you. You remember when you were kids and you did the stuff you wanted to do? And you could just go from thing you like to do to other thing you like to do to other thing you like to do before you had that responsibility thing or before your parents made you feel guilty. And then those things that you really wanted to do sort of got messy because you felt guilty when you did them. But you know what we're talking about? That lighthearted feeling of wanting to do it? When that impulse comes to you and you follow it, and then the following it leads to something and leads to something until you are actually getting to witness the thoughts turning to things, then you understand. Then your life has shown you what we're talking about. It's not just you taking somebody else's word for it who seems to be pretty sure of herself. Do you want to be a masterful creator or a dabbler? Do you want to be a deliberate creator or someone who just offers vibration in response to what you're observing and then gets the results of it and then joins the masses of people in complaining? You're assessing everything and cataloging it and pigeonholing it and giving it labels and putting it in all of these piles of political piles and religious piles and activity piles and educational piles and all these different piles, and it's the way you approach each other. And then you have these judgments about the rightness and the wrongness of the piles. And we want you to understand there are two piles. There are two piles, and one is under the influence of Source right now in this moment, and one is not under the influence of Source right now this moment. And all those other piles have some who are under the influence of Source and some who aren't. Once you get that about everyone out there, so that instead of trying to dissect life and define it by categories or by subjects, instead you are understanding it vibrationally. And you are doing vibrational work to tune yourself to your highest vibration, where everything that you want is accessible to you. And then you allow yourself to be the receiver of the ideas and impulses oh, your relationships will just knock your socks off, and everything that flows to you, you'll feel the hands in the clayness of that.